Hello everyone, Dale Wooddy here back with another video. I did want to post a follow-up to my most recent blog on account management. If you did read that blog, I mentioned just some tips, tricks, and tools that you can use to help out your clients, get yourself out of hot water, and so forth. But one thing I do want to mention is just the importance of knowing what problems to look for, how to answer certain questions. And you can find actually quite a few answers just in the search results by themselves. So, do keep that in mind when you first start working with an attorney, especially. You're going to want to go through the search engine result pages, kind of take a look around, see who they can compete against, and just kind of get a feel for what their goals are. So, like for instance, if you have a client who comes to you with concerns that they're not getting enough leads in comparison to a competitor, you are going to need to go and take a look at the search results around their area, typically in more than one zip code too. So a couple things you're going to want to look for. You've seen me mention the importance of local service ads in the past. Why are they important for attorneys specifically? Well, they're pretty easy to set up for attorneys in comparison to other businesses. The background check's a little bit easier, but it's also a pay-by-lead service. So your clients, if you set up their ads correctly, are only going to get charged for leads that have to do with the practice areas that they offer. So you'll note here that this person has DUI lawyer selected. That means if somebody calls them about a personal injury case and that's not selected on their ads, then they can get a refund for that lead. So do keep in mind, this is a very cost-effective way to get some clients' leads. As I mentioned, you do need to be strategic about it. I would go through here, just take a look at how your competitors for your client have their ads set up. What types of services do they have? You're going to want to make sure that when you do get into the local service ads dashboard, that you select all of the appropriate practice areas for that client. So if I had a DWI client in Texas, I'm going to want to make sure that I don't only have DWI selected, but I also have things like felony DWI, invalid test, multiple offenses, underage DUI selected too, because those can also be lucrative cases for a potential client. And what you may find is that sometimes these other more nuanced practice areas within DWI law are not as competitive. So do go and take a look at through the various zip codes for your competition, see who's coming up for various practice areas, because local service ads can be a really quick way to get a client a leg up, especially if they could be competitive in an area that they're not currently posting ads in. So a couple things I've mentioned in the past that can really help with local service ads. Google business profile optimization. Make sure you've got lots of reviews and that your aggregate score is higher than your competition. Make sure you've got the proper primary category selected. So for DWI attorneys, most of these folks are going to have criminal justice attorney as a primary category. Let's go see how common that is. I would expect it to see it all the way down. And sure enough, that is exactly what I'm seeing. Obviously, there's a lot of things you can do to optimize a Google business profile just by itself. You can actually add practice areas and updates to your Google business profile that will help with people who are searching for certain terms. So if somebody's searching for a DWI attorney in your area and you have that language on your Google business profile, either through an update or added as a product or added as a service, that's going to be pretty crucial and pretty helpful for your client. You don't want to spam a bunch of services, but what you'll want to do is just go and look at high volume keywords that have to do with your client's practice area and just make sure that they appear on here somewhere. All right, going back, again to reiterate, always make sure that your client has a higher aggregate score and more reviews than the competition. It's going to help their GBB profile and also local service ads. Another thing you're going to want to look at when you're starting out is competitors who are running search ads. Take a look at what they're doing right. And I can tell you this person's doing a lot right. So they have enticing language on the actual ad as it's displaying, not only in the title, but in the description too. And then if you go and you look down here, you see that they have all of these extensions that help their click-through rate. They've got the types of DWI cases and criminal defense cases that they take. So all a person would have to do is click into here. It's probably going to open a landing page. that's really easy to contact the attorney. Yep, there's a click to dial button right there. And it's got a nice, helpful contact form. So you are going to want to take a look at that when you're starting out with a client. If you've got a new attorney who's starting out, PPC can be a pretty helpful way to get some of their leads up. You're going to want to also, in addition to taking a look at all of the paid ads up here and a Google Business Profile, take a look at the organic results. See who's coming up in the top here. Maybe get a feel for what they're doing right. So as I've mentioned in the past, a lot of the folks who come up here, they're going to have a lot of content on their website. Chances are they're going to have a good review score. They're going to tend to have an older domain. You're still going to want to take a look at them and just see what they're doing right that your client isn't. So easiest way to do that is just get like an analytics tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs or even Screaming Frog or SpyFu. See what they're doing right for search engine traffic. See what they're doing right for social media and paid ads traffic. You can do that and get a feel for what your client also needs to be doing. So data is going to be really, really important when you're first starting out working with an attorney. Another thing you want to take into account is to make sure that your attorney's website is up to par. One thing you can't have nowadays is a really slow website that's hard to use, especially on mobile. That's going to absolutely get your client killed in the results, especially if you're working for like a bankruptcy attorney whose clients just don't have the best technology. You're going to want to make sure that you do audits on a new client's website as well. So I do have a prior video on how to do audits. I would go give that a watch. It can be pretty helpful. So this is just really kind of an introduction to how you can get started as far as a conversation goes. If you're just starting out with a client, you can get a lot of really good conversations going just by looking at their competition. What you're going to be looking for is you do look at different zip codes and you do those custom searches you've seen me do in previous videos, is consistency. So if you notice a competitor that your client can compete against and they're coming up consistently in the top results in lots of zip codes, take a look at what that competitor is doing because your client may be able to surpass them in a matter of months, and that looks really good for you. So in the next video, I am going to want to just go over some of the platforms I discussed on that blog. Screaming Frog is a really helpful one because it's got a free version for Mac and Windows. I'm on a Mac right now, so should be able to use it without issue. Screaming Frog is just going to let you crawl websites. It's going to let you see what your client has on their website that might need to be fixed. Things like missing meta descriptions and titles, slow loading pages, 4xx errors, that type of thing, broken redirects, and so on. If you have a client who is like transferring a domain or something like that, and you need to set up redirects for any reason, Screaming Frog is pretty helpful for that as well. So for account managers who are working for companies who aren't paying for like SEMrush or anything, Screaming Frog is helpful. I am going to want to go over it for future videos.